Hello and welcome to the More Cheese Less Whiskers podcast. My name is Dean Jackson, and today we're talking with Paul Baeppler from Cleveland. And Paul is a private investigator and a police officer, and he has a really neat business. Have you ever wondered if somebody was spying on you, or if there was a hidden camera watching your moves or listening to your conversations? Well, that's a big business, apparently. And Paul has a way to help people in that situation. He does it all the time in person in Cleveland, helping businesses and individuals who are, concerned about that. And we talked about a lot of the psychology of this, of how he's got a way now to help private individuals all over the place, not just local to Cleveland there, but we talked about the psychology of how do you get into the conversation that's going on in the mind of the person who is suspicious that they might be being surveilled or being followed or tracked or spied on in some way. And so we walked through a really great breakdown of how to apply the before unit profit activators to this, starting with who's our target audience. What's the thing that's going to get them to raise their hand? How can we start the conversation? And we had a lot of fun. It was really great, and I think we hatched a really actionable, practical plan that, if you listen to the ideas behind it, it will apply to what you're doing as well. So enjoy.
Paul.
Hi, how are you, Dean?
I am so good. How are you?
Good. I appreciate the invitation.
I'm excited to talk to you. How do I say your last name?
Just like the A is not there, the A is silent. So Baeppler.
Baeppler. Okay, great. Well, Paul Baeppler. So where are you calling from?
Cleveland,
Ohio. Okay, perfect. Well, I'm excited. Got the whole hour. We can talk about anything we want. So I'd love to hear the Paul Baeppler with the silent A story and what you think we could focus on.
Okay. So I've been a policeman for 27 years. I've had this PI business for over 15 years. And the other thing that I'm sort of just now getting into is like the spy gear business. So hidden microphones and cameras and bug detectors. And so I'm sort of backing into that. And I went and I picked up a domain name called pitools.com, and still figuring out how I'm going to go with it. I did put together a little, what I want to focus on first is just trying to sell these bug detectors. And if I can tell you how I backed into that, we've been doing with my PI business, we've been doing high-end bug sweeps for probably about 8 years. I sent one of my employees to a 2-week training course out of town, and invested about $60,000 in gear to do it. And so we started doing these bug sweeps. Now, we don't do as many as I'd like to, obviously, but
is that a common thing? Like, I mean, you're talking about. I'm fascinated to hear all about this because I'm not that familiar with this world. So is that a common thing? I mean, you see it on TV all the time. We got sweep for bugs and stuff like that. But is that a common thing? Like, is that something that?
Yeah, it's becoming more and more common. Well, let me give you just to tell you, when I first got in this business, in order for me to buy, a covert camera, like one that looks like a button on your shirt, or something with a pinhole camera, it was hard for me to find it. I had to go to our intelligence unit on the police department and get an introduction to someone that sold these things, because this guy didn't sell them to people, in the public, and you had to go to his store to get it. So, but now, fast forward, 20 years later, and anybody can get Can you hear me okay?
Tomorrow morning. Yeah, I can hear you.
Hang on. Can you hear me better now?
It doesn't matter, yes.
Okay. I don't know if that was on my end or your end, but anyway, fast forwarded to today, and anybody can get online and have, a decent hidden camera, buy one, off the internet, anyone with a credit card, and have it here tomorrow. And they're so much easier to use on top of it. I mean, I hate to use a big 50-cent word like, proliferation, but that's what's happened because they're so available and they become so affordable, and they're so much easier to use than they ever were in the past. So they are out there, and we do find them. Well, we sell them. We even play. We get hired for years. We've been getting hired to put them in places, and we use them in our business when we're out doing surveillance on different cases. So
yeah, boy, I'm looking at these. I just did a quick Amazon search while we were talking. I could get one tomorrow for $29 from a spy camera. Another little one, $30 is one, the picture frame. So yeah, it's totally available. You're right. It feels like in the past it used to be this kind of underworld that you would have to, find out about all this stuff. Mm-hmm.
Right. So they're out there, and it's not. Anybody can get their hands on one. You don't even have to be any kind of a technical geek to know how to work it or anything like that. So
yeah.
So they're out there, and anyway, so what I started, we're doing we do our bug sweeps, but we don't do as many of them as I would like to. And then I was listening to a podcast where there was a guy that had a spy shop on there, and he was talking about his business model. And my first thoughts were, boy, I would love to have the list of all the people that he sells these bug detectors to, because 95% of those people aren't going to find anything, with that camera. And, but they're still going to think that there's something out there. So I would like to, have the list so that I could market to those people and sell them when we do, a bug sweep for a client, it's usually a higher end type of thing, and the price point on that is going to be between $3,000 and $10,000, depending on the size of what's being searched, and if we're going to also search their cars for GPS trackers and things like that. Mm-hmm. So as I started thinking about that, and I actually ran into a couple of dead ends, about getting the list, I thought, well, I wonder if I could put something like this together myself. So I actually put together a Shopify page and put it together and came up with an idea for a lead magnet. And then I thought, well, all right, well, how can I, using your principles, what can I give them or show them? Well, the fact is 90% of any hidden bugs can actually be found with a physical search, as long as you know what you're looking for, if you know what they look like, and you know where people might be hiding them. And if you have a systematic way about looking for them, you're going to find 90% of them without any kind of a bug detector or any kind of expensive, bug sweep service.
So bugs now, just from you're mostly now talking about hidden video cameras, right? Not just like
cameras and listening devices, both of them.
Okay, right. Yeah. But more, feels like now everything's so small that what used to just be listening devices, probably more video now too. Okay. All right.
Right. It's both. So, so I put together probably like a 25-page guide on, what a hidden camera or a microphone might look like, where one might be concealed, what they look like, where you might find them, and then sort of a systematic way the way that my guy that does our bug sweeps, that he was trained to do a physical search. That's how he was trained when he went away, to do a physical search in a systematic way. So we sort of put that together and put it, and I thought, all right, well, this could be like a good, a tripwire that maybe I could sell for, $5 to $7 to fund the Google ads or Facebook advertising, whatever. anyways, I put that together, but then as usual, life got in the way. I have 100 different excuses why I didn't, put it all together in the end and get it out there. Mostly because I'm not, I have ClickFunnels and I've been paying for it for years, and I have your service, which I do use GoGo clients, but I just didn't get it together. And but more recently, I hired. I got together with the people at Get Leverage. You're familiar, R.E. Meisel.
Yeah,
and
Nick Sonnenberg now is
right.
Right.
And I thought I just got to get this done. And
yeah,
so we're in the process right now. They're hooking up ClickFunnels and whatever other pattern or whatever other mechanisms to try to get it out there. So that's where I'm at with that. And I still have the PI business, which I have a few employees that do. Most of the, I have a girl that runs the business for the most part, and handles the phones. So, and
so how far? How big a radius is your PI business? I mean, is it mostly within Cleveland?
For the most part, it's in Northeast Ohio, but we have a few years ago, I had a client that sent me to New York City for a case that was going on, and it took me a while before I discovered you had to be licensed in New York State to work there. So we got licensed there and opened up an office in Manhattan on the Upper East Side. And we do a little bit of business there, but not as much as I'd like to. When I retire, I'd like to expand on that a little bit more. But probably, most of our business is right here in Ohio. And, probably 80% of it's right here in Northeast Ohio, Cleveland, Akron. Right, we're right between. I'm halfway between where Dan Kennedy lives and where Dan Sullivan grew up. Okay,
so when you look at all the people who are hiring you for these sweeps, what's the profile of that person? Like who's primarily? What are the top 2 or 3 reasons that you're, being hired to come out and do a sweep? That it's worth $3,000 to $10,000 for them.
Right. Well, a lot of them are, business people that, are suspicious that there's, people, they're just
espionage.
They're hearing things there could be like someone that's concerned that union people have got, they're knowing things that they shouldn't know, and they don't know how they're knowing it, and they've narrowed it down to conversations that took place in a conference room or something like that. Okay. So that's a good deal of them. We have a few attorneys that hire us to do it on a regular basis just so that they can have the peace of mind and they can tell their clients who are nervous about about bugs that, this conference room is safe and we have it regularly swept. But probably most of it is people that are, it's someone going through a divorce that, some kind of strife like that, and they believe that, they believe that the other person is knowing things. They're saying things back to them, or they're hearing things that they're just thinking that there's no way that they could have known it.
Known that.
Known that. And then it's like they have 2 or 3 instances like that where things are coming up that are being said like that. So
right.
That's probably the most common, marital or ex-boyfriend or.
Yes. Yeah, I got it. And I mean, in some cases, is it, so it must be like financially, there must be some financial implication for them if it's worth the $3,000 to $10,000 to do it.
On the business side.
Exactly. Okay. And this product that you're talking about, you're looking to show people how to detect the stuff at home? Like, are you looking for this to be something outside of your outside of Cleveland, like a national type of thing?
Yes.
Or what's your hope for that?
Yeah, we actually have I've sent my guy out of town a number of times to do bug sweeps, to do a real bug sweep. But I think that there's enough of a market even for these, lower end, bug detectors. Like you were saying that there's ones on Amazon that you can buy for, and I've seen those for 30
cameras. The camera, yeah. I
right.
just typed into Amazon hidden camera.
Right.
Camera, yeah.
And the detectors, you can get them on there for, even, as low as, $50 to $100 that they call them bug detectors. Now, those things they're not that reliable, the ones that you're going to get on there. And for $200, you can get one that's, and I can demonstrate it. I was going to put together a little bit of a video to show the difference between the ones that you get on, because 90% of the ones you're going to see on Amazon they're all the same thing. They're just relabeled. They all look exactly the same, but for just a little bit more money, you can get one that's going to be a little bit more reliable. So,
I see this. Wow, look at this bug detector. I wonder, this is going to be amazing what starts showing up in my news feed and my recommendations now after searching hidden cameras and bug detectors on Amazon. We'll see how far reaching that is. Very funny.
Right. So anyway, that's where I'm at with it. So I'm, going to want to drive some traffic there, either with Facebook, and or Google ads. And
how much is the product that you have?
$150 is the one. Well, it's $200, but the ones that I sell are a little bit higher quality. And the person that sells them, that I get them from, that I'm drop shipping them from, we're not allowed to sell them for less than $149.95 or something like that. And so anyone and there's a few other people that are selling the ones very successfully selling the ones, the exact same ones that I'm going to be selling. But my thinking is that, by getting first selling them what do you call it? The tripwire, that guide on where to look and how to look and all that I can then get my foot in the door and do some follow-up marketing with them and, just keep coming at them. As you say, most people don't buy it right then. They're going to buy it later on. So.
Yeah, right. So part of the, have you done any research on the keyword volume and stuff like that? How many people are searching these terms?
No, I don't. I'm sort of that's the people over at Leverage are helping me with that with that market research.
Okay, all right. And
I probably should have done that beforehand, but
no, that's okay. But do you have are you doing anything right now, lead generation wise, to find people who are looking for this?
No, the only thing, this is all brand new for me. The only thing that I do as far as follow-up marketing is for the PI business, for integrity investigations, for that, my main business is we have using GoGo clients, we have a web form on the page that says, we put out a price list of how much it costs, for what costs are, because if you do actually go out there and look for any kind of price, no PIs put that on their website.
Oh, exactly. I say that to people. It's one of the best things you can that people are most willing to trade their information for. And we found that out like with several different gyms or workout studios where you test like on the home page a PDF offer for fat burning or weight loss or muscle gain or anything like that. But the thing that outperforms it is the membership pricing program. That's the thing that gets the most response. So people are very interested in the price of things, right? So that, and I think the important thing about it is that sets the context for how they look into something, whether it's out of the realm of possibility for them, then they don't need to go any further and be, convinced. They've already eliminated themselves, or they think, oh, that's okay, that's affordable. Now, what do I get here? And now they can start investigating these things. So what you've got, here's how I would start. thinking about it then is there any other sort of things that you could do remotely to help somebody in a situation where they might, the things that they hire you to do while you're in Cleveland here, like coming to do the physical sweeps and things like that. Is there anything that you could offer in addition to just the product that would help somebody remotely? Like, could you consult me in Florida here about, in addition to the equipment and you consulting me or coaching me on how to do this? That would be useful.
Well, yeah, and like the only way I've been able to that I've come up with is this guide on how to do a physical search. Since 90% of them are done, can be found with a physical search, and so that goes into what you're looking for, what it looks like, and where it would be hidden. So that's been the only thing that and it's like it starts out as a checklist.
Have you got videos demonstrating these or showing?
No, I have not. I started off planning to do a video, and then I thought, all right, let's just do the guide first, the written guide,
right.
And
I gotcha.
Then I'll do that. But I haven't gotten that far. But
I'm just trying to see where, like, what I was looking for was how we could bundle some other things, because what you're dealing with, what you're looking with is you've got you have invisible prospects, right? You can't buy a list of people who are suspicious that their environment is being bugged. That's there's no list of that. And that's something that's going on in somebody's mind. So you can narrow down some particular circumstances that might be going on. If you think about, on the high end, if you think about business environments, and what would you say that it's more business or more personal?
Personal. It's more personal. Yeah.
Okay. And so if you're thinking about someone who would be interested in this, you've almost got two sides of the whole equation, right? You've got someone who is suspicious that someone is spying on them, whether it's a spouse or whatever. That kind of suspicion is going to drive them at some point to do some kind of searching, or it's on in their mind, right? We need to get in front of that person and have what's the conversation going on in their mind. Now, when you look at it, part of the way to get in front of people like that are two ways. When you've got invisible prospects, you can choose, Facebook ads, and I don't know what sort of whether there would be any restrictions or any kind of guidelines on Facebook about this particular type of topic, whether you could do things that would be the genesis thought that somebody has about what's going on. Like if you were equipping people how to tell if someone is spying on you, for instance, or how to tell if someone is, if there's a hidden camera in your home or car, or how to tell if someone's tracking your car, or, there's a lot of those kind of things that would be in that family of being tracked, right? Like on their phone, which is probably the most common thing that people would be concerned about or suspicious of, that somebody's put some kind of tracking thing on their phone, right?
Right.
And that would be kind of the next level up of somebody bugging their physical environment.
Correct.
In terms of putting things. So you want to sort of get somebody who's in that world. And that's why I'm more a fan of using a free lead generator than a tripwire generator. I'm always looking, like, especially when you're trying to identify hidden people. Tripwire things are usually, I would use something like that if it's going to a already high volume list that you already have their name and their email address, as opposed to running ads to find somebody and then and the offer being the tripwire.
That makes good sense.
Right. That I would rather have the free information that gets them to raise their hand. So now, if you had this thing, you had a book or a report or a guide, something that was how to tell kind of thing, not as in depth as, but just that would open up the door to the next steps of that, where here's this guide on how to, and this tool on how to actually sweep your environment, and that somebody could buy, going from the first thing being just to raise their hand.
Yeah, I think that you could be right on that.
Because it's valuable, right? That you've got this, because now you know that over time, that suspicion is either going to percolate, or it's going to come to a boil, or it's going to dissipate, right? But that suspicion that they have at that moment, that it's enough that they're drawn to it, they suspect that somebody might be following them. They may not even know that it's possible to detect, or that it's possible to, or that it's as big a thing, or how easy it is for people to do it, right? So they may be unaware of what, and this may amplify their suspicion or their fear or their desire to do something about it. And then we're at the ready with the, whenever you're ready, here's 3 ways I can help you. And this is, I think that when you look at it, that the polarity that we're looking for is that their life and their whereabouts and their privacy is an open book, and then on the other end that it's on lockdown, that they're completely on lock and nobody can know anything about them that they don't want them to know, kind of thing.
Right.
That would be where people want to go. That would be what they're hoping. But then if you show to people all the vulnerabilities that they have, or, if you're kind of demonstrating, you've got the perfect pedigree. I mean, you're, long-time police officer, long-time private investigator, hundreds of instances where you've done these things. You're an expert, and you've got inside information and just personal anecdotes, case studies of things that are going to be fascinating to people,
Yeah, I would agree. Sure.
If we just take because you're in the early stages here, the before unit, profit activators, we got to select a single target market. We got to compel your prospects to raise their hand. We've got to educate and motivate them, and we need to make an easy to get started offer, right? So those 4 things, when we select the one, like let's say on the personal side, is it, and I mean, you've got the opportunity to divide them, to be specific, men and women, rather than just somebody. This is part of the thing about some of the creative that you'd be able to do. And I think that certainly, if you took especially in Cleveland, there's be some wisdom in starting there, simply because you'd have a way to escalate it to you could do something for them, physically right there. So it's a good kind of lead into your main business.
Which was the whole idea of it, because the truth of it is most people that think that it's going on are never going to be satisfied unless you do unless we do find something. They're going to do that physical search.
Yes.
And then they're not going to be satisfied. So my thinking was, then sell them a bug detector, even if I only make $50 on it.
Right.
But now I still have the list. I can follow up. But even those people, most of them aren't going to be satisfied unless they find something, which most of them aren't. And then I can still follow up with them for the big product.
Yes. And then it almost becomes then a suite of, if you're introducing somebody to that world, if that's the gateway into it, that there's other services or other products that people might be interested in. Like they may want to, turn the tables themselves, or to protect. So you could have a hidden camera in your environment too.
Oh, we've done that.
Yeah, exactly. So once somebody gets down that road, it's like you've got a passionate, engaged audience, because it's
right.
Imagine that they're either going to, like you said, they're going to scratch that itch until they're satisfied. Just because they didn't find one, that feeling's not going to go away with, I guess there's nothing.
Right.
They're going to want to not leave any stone unturned. Right.
Right. And it's super gratifying part of the business to help someone, to give people that confidence or that certainty that that's not going on. But it's even better, believe it or not, to then show them how they don't have to be the victim here. They can turn the tables, just as you said. And it's great to watch people turn that corner.
Yeah.
Feel that instead of being victimized, it's almost like the shoe's on the other foot at that point.
Yes.
So,
that's
but those are great. Those are great ideas. I can't tell you how much. A couple of years ago, I bought the 9-word email. I can't remember how you called that program, the audio program, but
Email Mastery.
It's hard, right? Yeah, Email Mastery, and but the 9-word email is the only thing I really got out of it. So, as far as the PI business, like when we sell people or not sell them, when they fill out that web form for the price list. So we give them the price list, and then a few days later we send them a confidentiality agreement. For if they're going to hire any PI, they should, they might want to consider getting this filled out. And then a few days later we'll send them some checklists on how to, what to look for on a PI's website, or what to say to them, what questions to ask the PI to make sure that they're not, a charlatan or anything. And then 3 weeks later, were you still interested in hiring a PI? It's amazing how much business that thing has generated.
That's awesome. And do you use a super signature in the email?
No, I don't. I should. I don't have any excuse for not doing it. I listened to that audio, but I really, honestly.
Yeah. No, part of the thing that you have is you've got the opportunity, like when you're getting opt-ins, even on your own, on your page right now, that what you send immediately to somebody is going to be the big opportunity that is the elements of what become the elements of your super signature, right? Where you're giving them the thing that they asked for, but then you're also saying, and whenever you're ready, here's 3 ways I can help you. And you list the next steps for people, right? Like what they need or want to do next. And then the morning after that, like first thing, you can welcome somebody, and ask them a question that's going to engage with them. So if you downloaded let's apply this to what this new situation that we're talking about. So
Okay.
if we take a target audience of, would you say it's primarily men or women? Is there a difference, or
yes, it's more women.
More women that are suspicious they're being spied on? Okay, so when women, let's say that we select that, we do Facebook ads, we've got a offer for, what it really comes down to is the headline and the cover of the information that they would really say, that's for me. Like, you can, if it was something as simple as, how to know if someone is spying on you, or how to know if someone's watching or listening to your private conversations, or how to know, when you go through that thing, if that's a thought in somebody's mind, and here's this thing that can talk about how to know if someone's spying on you, or watching you, or has a hidden camera, and we could come through and wordsmith the right exact words, but this is the sentiment of it, that how to know whatever their suspicion is. And they just click. We've used, the thing we've been using now is the Facebook lead ads, which are the easiest thing, because all they have to do is click, and their name and email is already filled out. So all they have to do is press click to send, and they're subscribed. So we use that. It's integrated all the way, so it goes right into your GoGo client's account, so that you've got them now, and you can trigger the autoresponders. But when you look at that, if you build a list of people who the one thing they have in common is that they're so suspicious that somebody is following, listening, watching them, that they asked for this guide. Now you've got a list of visible prospects, because now it's not just, I suspect that there are people within Cleveland that are having this feeling. Now it's Mary 1376 at yahoo.com is worried about this. And, that's the way. Now we've got a visible prospect, and we can imagine, I always look at it that the moment that somebody asks for something, like the moment somebody downloads something from your website, opts in, we treat that moment like it's a magic portal to your office. And it's as if that the moment they press submit, they're magically transported and arrive at your front door of your office, and they knock on the door, poke their head in, and say, "Hey, I'm here about the how to tell if I'm being spied on book." And what would you then say to that person if they show up just like that? That's how we craft what happens in Profit Activator 3. It's all about that conversational conversion process. And you're an expert in that. You've had years and years of those exact conversations that probably start out, I think somebody's spying on me. And what do you say in those conversations to kind of
in that that conversation? The next question would be, the very first question would be, well, why do you think that? And that just opens it up. That's the big opener. And or some of the other questions are, how long do you think this has been going on? Questions like that. But the number one question for almost anybody, calling the office is, why do you think that? And then
why do they think that? What do they say to that? Why do you think that?
Well, almost all the time when we're talking about, bug detectors or, bug sweeps, is they're, things are being repeated back to them that they're thinking only could have been known by this person that's saying it to them.
Yes.
If they had been listening in, if they had a listening device, or if they were on their, listening to their phone, or they know that, someone's somewhere, or as far as like GPS trackers, how could they have known that I was at that spot, or how could they have known that I would be there? If someone keeps showing up at the spots where they're at, that there's no way that they could have known that they would be there. Especially, if it happens once or twice, that's one thing. But if it happens, 3 or 4 or more times, then there's a problem. And the GPS trackers that's a whole. It's part of the same family, but I know that they're out there. We have a dozen GPS trackers out there for clients at any given time, and and there's other people that most people aren't even hiring a PI to do it. They're just doing it themselves. They're buying one on the internet and putting it on there.
Well, they're buying those key locators, right, or whatever the things that are cleverly being positioned as never lose your keys again kind of things, which is showing how small it is, that all you need to do is, activate it to the thing and it'll always tell you where it is. It doesn't take much to make the leap that, well, if I hid this in somebody's back seat or under their seat in their car or something, it could be, I could know where it is.
Right.
Yeah, there's so much of that. I bet you're right.
The other thing is that I've gotten a lot of mileage out of. We have, and I borrowed this from Joe Polish, but the 8 most common mistakes that people make when hiring a private investigator, and all of the mistakes that they make are designed to knock out all the competition. Either they haven't been in business very long, or they don't have good reviews, or make sure they're not subcontracting out the work. All that stuff, which is
I think that's
fun,
fantastic.
and that's another one.
Yeah, those whole and Joe and I've talked about this on podcasts, that the Consumer Awareness Guide is an amazing Profit Activator 3 tool, more than it's a lead generation tool, because it's so at the level where people are already kind of evaluating the decision of hiring a private investigator, whereas what the Profit Activator 2, what we're looking to do is identify people who are maybe even earlier in the process than deciding that they need a private investigator, or that thought may not even be in their mind right now. They're focused on, and you may even plant that thing where they're not thinking about taking action on it, but they see in their news feed something as how to know if somebody's spying on you or tracking you, following you, watching you, whatever the things are. However, we wordsmith those that sentiment, that's going to identify them. That turns the invisible prospect into a visible prospect, and then along with the information that we send them that they asked for, we send them the Consumer Awareness Guide, which is an amplifier as well. Because now that they're a visible prospect, we need to do everything we can to educate and motivate them so that when they make an offer, they're already predisposed to do business with you.
Yeah, for sure. I know this morning, is it Vivian? What is your assistant's name?
Lillian.
Lillian, yeah. When I got that email from her yesterday, I had to work the rest of the day, but this morning I got up early. I started going over the 8 profit activators, which I haven't looked at in a couple of years. I thought I was on fire with all these ideas of things I should be doing in my business, which you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Stuff is genius.
And that's kind of a cool thing. I mean, it could be, either like where it really makes sense is it might be my mind often thinks about syndication opportunities. And what I mean by that is, you're a private investigator in Cleveland. And if I look at this kind of thing as a potentially great way to really expand your business in Cleveland, in your local area, and as such could create an opportunity to show other private investigators how to do the same thing in their local markets, which could
that's why I bought the domain picoach.com. So someday I could do that.
Well, that's definitely, that's all it takes is, you look at something like this. If you've got a way to find those people, and you become known as the local, the guy, you've got an opportunity to make money on the sales of the products, but that's also going to, in a lot of cases, lead to somebody hiring you.
Correct. That's for sure. That's some good stuff here. And so you mentioned the Facebook lead ads.
Yes.
Can you run through that real quick? I'm not familiar with that. I've done no Facebook advertising.
Okay. So, when you look at your Facebook news feed, like as you're scrolling through your home screen, about every fifth screen is a sponsored post, which is an ad. So you can buy those sponsored posts and you can run what they call a lead ad, meaning the purpose is to generate leads. The purpose is to offer. So I run I run ads for business owners, and we offer a free book called the 50-Minute Marketing Sprint. And so I want to get that in front of people who are interested in marketing. So it starts out that way, that they will download the book. And now I've turned a invisible prospect into a visible prospect. And so we engage with people, and then I send, everything that people probably know me for, or that they have my, that I'm on their radar, is all really Profit Activator 3 stuff, right? Like I do podcasts. I send 3 emails a week. I do, every one of those has a super signature that says, whenever you're ready, here's 4 ways I can help you grow your business, And so it's always, as that list becomes the driver for everything. And that's what I would look for you, is that, you've got, that you're known in your, first of all, in your primary market as the go-to guy.
So for that type of thing, in my case, for the bug detectors, like the lead ad there would be something like, do you think that someone's listening or something
like that? How to tell?
Or,
I think that's our audience, right? That there's how to know. That's an important thing, because we're speaking, and this is a kind of a subtle but a big difference, is that often people will say in an ad, they'll ask the question, do you think somebody is spying on you? Right? Which sounds like you're now that's you speaking, and you're kind of forcing them to engage with you. Psychologically, it's a different thing. It feels like you're engaged. But when you can kind of get in front of them and present them with something that would be appealing to them if they thought they were. If we say, do you think somebody is spying on you? And we use spying's maybe a general term for this, right? But if you get specific, do you think somebody has put a tracking device on your phone, or a hidden camera in your home, or a listening device in your home, or whatever the specific things are, that if you ask somebody that question and they say yes, then let's just cut right to the chase and present the information that would be appealing to somebody, that the answer to that question is yes. So if I think that somebody is doing this, then they come across this opportunity to, for how to know if somebody is following you or spying on you, or whatever the right language we can use is, that's going to be something they can voyeur in on. You've already answered the question. There's a prescription in it, right? Like, asking the question is kind of the setup to a sales process in a lot of ways, right? But presenting the information as education of how to tell whether somebody is spying on you is a valuable piece of information that somebody can immediately download. And it's a pattern interrupt. They see it, and it's going to happen below the surface because you didn't draw their attention to it with the question, which is kind of revealing in a way,
So just so I didn't miss the point there, in a Facebook lead ad, would you make the primary head lead be on that Facebook feed? Would it be, do you think someone is spying on you, or would it
no,
how
it
to
wouldn't
tell
be
if someone
that.
is spying on you?
Yes, how to tell. But because the person that we want is the person who would answer yes to that question, right? So let's just not ask the question, and let's go present the information that they would want if they did feel like that. And now it feels like, holy cow, this is I was just thinking this.
Right, entering the conversation.
Right, you're entering the conversation that's already going in. You're not trying to stimulate the conversation, and you can't. Do you think somebody's spying on you? There's no way. They could answer that question no. But when you're presenting this, how to know if someone is spying on you, there's no way to answer no to that, because you haven't. They're either interested in it or they're not.
Right, and would that be just generic? It would be no branding or anything. It would just be like black and white.
Exactly. It's right. It's information. And that way, now when they get the information, now we're going to educate and motivate them all about you. I mean, why are you writing this? Because you've been a police officer. You're a private investigator for 15 or 17 or however many years you said. And you every day work with people in Cleveland to, get to the bottom of what's going on. And here's some easy ways that you can, quickly determine if somebody's doing it. Here's a checklist. First of all, do a physical inspection. Look for this, and then this, and then this. Here's a picture of what something might look like if that's the case. And if you really want to get to it, then the next level of this is to use this detection device. And then the next level is, if you're still not satisfied, if you really want to know for sure, I can come out and do it for you.
Right.
But that conversation all starts with what's the easiest way to get somebody to respond to that,
How to know.
That's certainly one. I mean, how to know. I mean, so we've used that with, with mortgage companies when interest rates were first really going down and everybody was refinancing, right? They've been so low for so long now that it's, a lot of people have refinanced. But when in the beginning we would run, everybody was screaming, rates have never been lower. Refinance now. Rates are going down. Refinance and save money. All these things. But the reason that people didn't do it is they didn't know whether it would make sense for them. And so we leaned into that conversation and we offered a report called How to Know When It Makes Sense to Refinance Your Mortgage. And that was like the magic thing for people that now that makes sense. They're not screaming at you, we're not screaming at you trying to convince you to refinance. We're joining the conversation where you are already at. And you're at a point of, I don't know whether it makes sense for me to refinance. That now, whenever you're saying how to know, you're implying that there's a way to get certainty about something. So the language is very powerful, but subtle.
Right. I love it.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Now I'm going to have to go educate the people down there at Get Leverage.
That's so fun. Well, I'm going to get them to listen in on the podcast. That's funny.
That's right. That's a good idea.
Yeah, for sure. But I think
I appreciate it.
I think you got a great, you're doing a great thing there. You got a great upside for all of this, both in your own business and then for other PI businesses. How many PIs are there, would you say?
No, I don't know. A few years ago, I knew what it was, and just here in the Cleveland area, if you were to put in private investigator Cleveland, Ohio, into Google, you'd come up with about a dozen in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. There are more than that. People that don't have websites or people that don't really know how to get their website up there in the top. But there's about a dozen guys that are marketing themselves as private investigators. There's other people. It's not so easy to become a PI in Ohio. In other states, right. It's a little bit easier. But in Ohio, you have to have been doing investigative work for 2 years in the immediate, previous 3 years in order to even sit for the exam. So, there's not as many here as you would find in New York or California.
Is there any organized national brand of private investigators or network of?
Yeah, there are different, networks and associations, groups, but there are a few very, very large, like Pinkertons. They're nationwide.
I was going to say Pinkerton's the only name that I know, but that goes back 100 years or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, that goes back to before Abraham Lincoln, believe it or not.
Wow, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, he's got some neat stuff. He was a real entrepreneur. He was a real marketer.
Yeah.
So, there's all kind of different opportunities and ways to go about the business. But my problem is, as you keep saying in your material, I got to narrow my focus. That's my big problem. I just constantly am, taking this wide approach, and it's not smart. So, soon I got to get down there.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, that would be a fun thing to talk about because you got the whole gamut.
Yeah, but I want to come down to Florida and visit you, and maybe do a weekend down there, a couple of days, and try to learn it.
That's
learn
awesome.
What you're teaching there even more in depth.
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate the phone call. I appreciate all your input
take
here.
Some vacation time. We've got Yeah, I've got, but in February and March and May would be the next three breakthrough blueprints. So it'd be a good thing.
And you're doing it in Australia too, right?
I am, November.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good deal, Dean. Thank you very much for your time. I wish I had more and better questions for you. I didn't
No,
get
that's
as prepared
good.
as I would have liked to have.
That's okay, but I think you got a good opportunity, and it was fun to talk about.
And I'll report back to you what kind of results we get here. I appreciate everything.
I love it. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
And there we have it. Another great episode. Thanks for listening in. If you want to continue the conversation, we'll go deeper in how the 8 profit activators can apply to your business. 2 things you can do. Right now, you can go to morecheeselesswhiskers.com and you can download a copy of the More Cheese Less Whiskers book. And you can listen to the back episodes, of course, if you're just listening here on iTunes. Secondly, the thing that we talk about in applying all of the 8 profit activators are part of the breakthrough DNA process. And you can download a book and a scorecard and watch a video all about the 8 profit activators at breakthroughdna.com. And that's a great place to start the journey in applying this scientific approach to growing your business. That's really the way we think about Breakthrough DNA, as an operating system that you can overlay on your existing business and immediately look for insights there. So that's it for this week. Have a great week, and we will be back next time with another episode of More Cheese, Less Whiskers.